Welcome to the Archery Outdoorsman podcast, where you'll find a whole host of outdoor-related topics like hunting, fishing, hiking, to motivational topics and workouts. If you like what you hear, hit that subscribe button. Leave a 5-star review. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. All you got to do is type in Archery Outdoorsman. If you want to help out, you can also find us on Patreon. Come and visit us at our website at www.archeryoutdoorsman.com. Enjoy the show. So, got Travis Peden with me from Tyrrell's Trails, right?
That's right. Right.
Tyrrell's Trails.
Tyrrell's Trails.
Yeah. So, trying to be a guide in Alaska. This will be step number 2.
That's right.
Record number 1, podcast number 2, since we didn't get the first one recorded.
Been trying at this for a minute.
Yeah, sometimes I can be a fucktard for but anyway, yeah, man. So what you been up to for the past couple days since we tried the last?
Not much, man. I actually just got a brand new phone. Been trying to get it to work for a couple of days. God, nothing else will make you feel that stupid as to when you get a new phone and try and get everything hooked up.
Yeah, no
I'll tell you what.
That is 100% true. What's crazy is, like, my 4-year-old daughter, like, she'll grab the phone and be like, "Hey, Daddy, check this out." I'm like, how did you fuck up my phone in like a matter of 2 seconds? And I'm like, "Can you fix it for me now?" And she, "Oh, yeah. Like, what the crap? I don't even let you on my phone.
That's right. Other than that, I've not been up to much. Just looking forward to this, man.
Yeah. Good deal, man.
Yeah.
Good deal. So we've already gone through it, but let's actually record this one. And so give me your background. What was your background?
My background really grew up hunting in western Colorado. My dad spent a little time when I was a little kid guiding elk hunts. Other than that, really nothing. I worked at Cabela's for a little bit. Other than that, I went to college for a little bit. And after that, just kind of tried figuring out what I was going to do. Then my dad actually hooked me up. He sent me a link to a guide school up in western Montana. And then I ended up going to that, which was awesome, by the way. And
You remember the name?
From there, I got guide school was Swan Mountain Wilderness Guide School.
Oh, nice.
Yep. And then from there is where I got in contact with the folks down at Tyrrell's Trails, Luke and Wesley Tyrrell. And man, I couldn't be more grateful.
Yeah. So you, man. So when you were hunting in Colorado, I'm assuming you still hunt in Colorado.
Yep.
If you have time.
Right.
How much time do you have since you're spending time in Alaska now? I mean, that's like season, isn't it?
Right. I don't have much time. I actually end up when I get done in Alaska is early October. So I'm back in time to catch, the end of like 3rd and 4th seasons here in Colorado. Or like last year I went to Ohio and tried my hand at whitetail hunting. But so I have time to do a little bit, not as much as usual. I don't have the choice of the first few seasons. I'm not back in time for archery season, which is kind of a bummer, but
oh, that's life for me, man.
Yeah. It's a bummer, but got to make that trade.
Yeah. So how was Ohio? I've been looking forward to trying it.
Ohio
I've never made it.
Now, this was the first time that I'd ever whitetail hunted, so I wasn't sure what to expect. And I have family up there, and so we were hunting where they hunt with their tree stands and stuff. But personally, man, I think tree stands suck.
That's, you know, I spent some time on the East Coast, quite a bit of time, unfortunately. Well, say unfortunately, there's some good things about the East Coast, but hunting is not one of them.
Right.
Yeah, I spent a fair amount of time in a tree stand. You almost cannot stock hunt. And those guys that say that they do, I don't know if they're lying or they're just incredible fucking hunters. I mean, super quiet. They
Yeah.
have to be. There's so many leaves on the ground, so much like there's
Oh yeah.
it's just a completely different world. So now stock hunting out west, I've stalked whitetail out west.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, this year I stock hunted and had a shot and blew a shot at probably one of the biggest whitetail bucks I've ever had a chance to shoot at.
Oh no.
Yeah, man. I mean, I was bummed. And I've got a couple like pretty good sized whitetail on my wall.
Okay.
And I would say good size. Good size for me, probably like 140 or maybe a little bit more.
Right on.
I've never actually measured them, so
Yeah.
I might have to do that. But I think that's a pretty good size whitetail. And this one that I had a shot at, I mean, made these guys look like little bitches.
Holy cow. Oh, man.
Dude, I was sick. I was so mad.
I can only imagine.
But it is what it is. But yeah, I mean, I'm with you, man. Tree stand is not for me.
No, I like to be able to move around.
Yeah. So when you take your clients out, so obviously you're guiding now, but you're a guide's apprentice, right?
That's right.
All right.
That's right.
So when you're guiding now, do you guys take the time to teach your clients, how to stock hunt and all that kind of stuff? Because I'm assuming that's what you're doing in Alaska.
Yep, that's a lot of what we're doing. With moose, we'll call them in. A lot of the time, though, especially if the calling doesn't seem to be working, they're not rutting hard enough yet, then it's a lot of spot and stock. But there's a certain amount of time we spend preparing the client, getting them, explaining them to them how it's going to work and what we're doing. So yeah, there's a bit of kind of teaching them what we're going to be doing. A lot of it's kind of on the fly, though. It's we're stalking a moose and it's all done kind of by hand signal and kind of just hoping that they pick up on it. But this year, I will say that they all did great on that. They all picked up on it really well, and all of the stocks that we went on ended up working out great.
Were they all like brand new hunters, or had they?
Most of them had been hunting. Actually, all of the ones we had this year had been hunting most of their lives.
Oh, so that's a plus.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I kind of envision like a lot of first timers, stuff like that,
Gotcha. Yeah. I mean, a lot of them kind of, when I was talking to them, it seemed like they had been into hunting either as a kid or later in their life when they started to get more free time. They were starting to get into that hunting or had been into it before. So that made it a little bit easier and didn't have to worry about it as much.
Oh yeah, that's definitely helpful. So
Yep.
you guys do like a brief or something like that when you guys pick them up, or like you guys are in the Super Cub or whatever. So this is how it's gonna work.
Yep. Yep. And the outfitter usually handles all of that. And then we get dropped off at where we're having our camp for that hunt. And then from there, it's go time.
So, oh, that's cool.
Yep. Yep.
Well, at least you got somebody that explains it, because,
Right.
man, I hunted with a new guy this year. That's just kind of sort of the premise of my the book that I had just written. But hunted with a new guy, and it has its challenges. He was super committed and
Yeah.
like worked his ass off.
That's
But
awesome.
he had never hunted before, ever, and maybe like small game, like
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
squirrels and shit like that, but
Right.
never hunted before, like big game, and never bow hunted before. And I took him on a pre-rut archery elk hunt in Montana.
Awesome. That's a great place to start, man.
I mean, I tested his salt. I mean, he was like, dude, we beat his ass on it. I mean, it's a tough hunt anyway,
Yeah. Oh,
But,
yeah.
Yeah, he did really, really well. And he was all bummed because he hit one bull in the blade, and I mean, he just ran off like nothing. Rolled over actually on the arrow and busted it all up. It only went in like this far, and so yeah, we tracked him down. We were able to find him like 2 mountain ranges over.
Oh, jeez.
And but I mean, he was running around like
Nothing happened.
Yeah. So that sucked. I always hated wounding an animal, but
Oh, yeah.
at least
Oh, yeah.
something, on a side note, something I don't think people realize is, you hit a bull with an arrow and stuff like that. That's probably better than what they're going to experience during the rut.
Yeah.
Dude, those antlers are not sharp.
No, they take some abuse, man. They take some abuse during the rut.
Yeah, like the bull that I killed last year, I mean, he had like finger-length holes like in his hams
Oh,
and
yeah.
neck and his shoulders and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
And
It's gnarly. It's gnarly,
yeah.
man. And that's
Yeah.
what people who don't really hunt or aren't into the outdoor thing don't realize is how tough these animals actually are and
Yeah.
how much they endure.
Yeah.
Minus, hunters.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's ridiculous. But
Yeah.
anyway, so he messed up that shot at 15 yards. And the next shot he had actually was about the same. And we had a young bull. It was like maybe a little 3x3 rag.
Okay.
And I thought I heard him kind of down below us and like forward a bit. So I was like, all right, so I'm going to see if I can call him around. Dude, it played out perfect. And the bull fucked up. And like that never happens.
Right.
Not to me.
Right.
And, so he like, I'm scraping and all that kind of stuff. The bull actually comes up the hill and then down like around us, and he's skirting kind of through this thick brush and stuff like that. I guess trying to just figure out, what's going on. And then he drops down the hill and like gets on the little elk trail that we were on and stands there like broadside, maybe 15 yards away.
Holy cow.
And so Joe, my buddy, he's trying to thread the needle, nicks a branch, and it shoots right below him. And
oh, no.
I couldn't see, like I could see the bull's head, but I couldn't see the body because I was back a little bit and like kind of behind some trees and stuff. So when it hit, like I heard a thump, but it was a rotted stump that was like back behind it.
Oh yeah.
So when I heard it, I heard that thump, and I
Right.
was like, oh, I know that sound. I'm like, hell yes. And Joe's just like, I've got the video. Once I finish all my video editing and stuff like that, that's gonna be in there.
Awesome.
And the disappointment video right after that's also gonna be in there. But so I was like, all right, we're gonna wait for a few minutes because the bull ran uphill. And I was like, that is not a good sign. If
Right.
he runs uphill, he's not hurt very bad, or you just fucked it up.
Right.
So I was like, let's give him a little bit, see if we can hear a crash or anything like that. I'm not the tell-all for everything animals, so I'm like,
Right.
possible. So we wait, and he's just like vibrating. He's so excited. And I'm like, all right, let's go up and see if we can find some blood, like a few minutes later. And not finding anything. And I look up just a little bit, about like 3 feet in elevation in the tree, and there's like, in that rotted stump, there's his arrow. Black eagle arrow. They had the wrap on the back and everything. There was no blood. And I was like,
oh man.
And I was
That's
like, hey Joe, I found your arrow. And he's like, oh yes, complete pass through. He was so excited. And I was like, yeah, but there's no blood. And he's like, oh. It was like I kicked him in the junk, man.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Going from that high to taking a shot on an animal like that and thinking you hit it solid.
Yeah.
To nothing, man. It's tough.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I know you've seen that a lot with, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
Man, it was, and then having to encourage him to keep going, even after
Right.
he missed and stuff like that it was an awesome experience bringing a new guy in there.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, he was a good guy. So anyway, so how did you get started out? You said you went to the guide school. Your dad had hooked you up with this guide school or whatever.
Yep. So I went to that guide school, which was awesome. Really, it was geared towards a horse and mule type operation, which the place Tyrrell's Trails in Alaska is not horse and mule at all. But this place, Swan Mountain in Montana, that's all they do is horse and mule. Actually, they have some alpacas too, but
I've been thinking about getting pack goats.
pack goats.
I'm serious, man. You laugh, and that was my first response too. Dude, I laughed forever when my buddy told me that. And I was like, you are fucking retarded. A goat, and I'm thinking these little like pygmy goats. I was like, you have to have 500 of those things to pack out a milk. He's like, no, man, these things are like almost 200 pounds. He's like, they carry out 45, 50 pounds of meat. And he's like, they're awesome. And he sends me this.
Yeah, they'll do it. That's for sure.
Yeah, he sends me these pictures, and he's like, I was like, that looks so fucking crazy. Like, he's got like 5 goats behind him, and they're just packing right along with him. He's like, dude, I always keep one white one with me because for some reason it draws the attention of the animals, and a lot of times they get curious and they'll start walking up to my goats.
Really?
That's what he said. And I mean, he's like, if anybody's like telling me like the truth, this guy, I mean, he's legit when it comes to that kind of stuff. But
that's wild.
Dude, he is like, so he's telling me this about these pack goats, and I'm like, so what is the benefit of having a fucking goat? I'm like, goats are the most stubborn damn animal ever. And he's like, actually, they're pretty damn smart if you spend time with them. And I'm like, it's a goat. They eat
Right.
cans and shit. Like, he's like, that's the beauty of them. He's like, you don't have to feed them. You don't have to pack in food or anything like that for them.
Right.
He's like, they can adjust their metabolism to whatever's around them. They don't have to have water hardly. They'll drink if they're thirsty. They won't when they won't. He's like, dude, I've had like 4 or 5 day trips and these goats won't drink anything.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So I'm like, maybe there's some benefit to it, you know?
There could be. Give it a shot and I'll come up and hunt with you.
Yeah.
You get some goats.
I might borrow his goats this year because I just found out that my buddy, that new hunter that I took with me last year, he's going to come up and hunt with me. But the first week that we were originally planning, I'm going to be by myself in like dense grizzly. Yeah, so I'm like, maybe there's a benefit to the goats too, because maybe the bear will go after the goats before it comes after me.
You would hope so, right?
That's my theory. I'm thinking there's strength in numbers.
Yeah.
Although I think they can outrun me, so I might be in trouble.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, they might.
Yeah, man. But yeah, this apparently is where Yellowstone drops off. It's like problem grizzlies, like the ones.
Oh, gotcha.
The ones that are out on criminal domestic violence charges and shit for beating their wife and all tattooed up with something.
Right. So, the ones they stick the collars on, yeah. Got some bad dudes in that crowd, man.
Yeah. I ain't afraid of your punk ass. You can't do shit.
Oh, geez.
But at the same time, there's, a lot of elk in there. So
right.
That's actually where I shot my bull this year was in there. Thankfully, it was frigid cold, so I think they were pretty well hibernating. So or getting to it. At least it made me feel good.
Right. Gotta get that comfort from something, man.
Yeah. So, what all did you learn in the school? Well, and real quick, do you have to take a school to be a guide, or?
No, you don't have to take the school at all. Really, what the school is something to kind of get you ready, and it helps you get ready to become a guide, and it provides you with contacts as far as people who are looking to hire someone, which was what completely made it worth it for me. Was all these outfitters would get a hold of Swan Mountain.
Oh, nice.
And they would say, hey, I'm looking for a guy to do this job. Do you have someone? Or, send me someone.
Hey, hang on real quick.
Okay.
My dog's like going nuts. Hang on. What? Sorry, I don't know what he was barking at, but
all good, man. But so the outfitters get a hold of this guide school, which actually it's an outfit that runs a guide school on top of it before season. They get a hold of these guys and they say, hey, I'm looking for this. Send me a guy you think would be good, or do you have anybody who wants to do it? And then they give you the contact information. and you go from there, which is awesome because before I went to the guide school thing, I was playing the email game, and it was rough. I was emailing a bunch of outfitters, and 9 times out of 10 not getting a reply, and really having those contacts available for me was, I think, in the long run, what made guide school worth it to me. But yeah, so that was 100% awesome. Other than that, I mean, we did a lot of horse and mule stuff, mule packing and whatnot. We went over hunting techniques, and then we did wilderness survival too. We did a survival course where we went over the like land navigation and wilderness first aid type stuff, which was my second favorite part of the week. I think that was outstanding to me, and I was super happy that they did it. I had no actual like experience in that before from growing up and hunting in Western Colorado. I hunted where I always hunted. I didn't need a map. I didn't carry a GPS. I didn't need it. I felt comfortable. And so I never really used that stuff. I was always, growing up hunting with my dad and stuff, he always told me to always have a compass. And I never actually knew how to use a compass with a map until I went to this guide school.
Yeah.
And that was a big game changer for me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I told you on the last podcast attempt that, I did search and rescue when I was in high school and
Right.
military and all that kind of stuff. But it seems like most of the time when people would get lost, I don't know, maybe I could probably count on like one hand and probably like 3 fingers really, but like one hand, the amount of times that somebody actually had a compass and a map.
Right.
And all of those times they didn't know how to use the declination diagram or something like that. They would just like completely ignore that little triangle in the side that says, oh, take off 13 degrees or, whatever. And they'd be like totally off.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, it is extremely, extremely important. So is that how you navigate now is with a map and compass, or you still use the GPS?
I'm using a GPS, man. It, frankly, it's just easier. But like I said earlier, you got to find that comfort somewhere. And for me, it's knowing how to do that and having a backup just in case, I have a tendency to sometimes do dumbass things. Say I leave my GPS in the tent.
Mm-hmm.
My comfort comes from having that backup that I now know how to use.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. My I kind of want to say my primary is the map and compass.
Yeah.
And then I use the Onyx feature on my phone to make sure I'm on point or or whatever every now and then. But unless I'm like skirting, private property or skirting a unit or something like that, then I'll use Onyx like most of the time. But for the most part, I pick a point and I go to it, and I'll travel in between there, and I'll use I'll triangulate where I'm at based on terrain features and all that kind of stuff with an azimuth and everything like that if I need to. But
Right.
But for the most part, I use my map. So super important though.
Yeah.
And,
Oh yeah.
and I think people need to practice with it. Like,
No kidding. It's easy to lose, man.
yeah. Yeah. Does this mean I add or subtract these degrees?
That's right.
But so one of my buddies, he's probably gonna kill me, but he just texted me today. Actually, he was doing EIB, which is Expert Infantry Badge. I'm
Okay.
going hunting with him actually starting Monday next week. I'll be in West Texas, and so right now he's doing this EIB certification. Well, not anymore because he fucked it up.
Oh
Uh,
man.
yeah, so he got all frazzled and stuff like that, and he knows his land nav. Like
Yeah.
he's good with it, but he just got all frazzled and stuff like that, and it's easy to do in a tough situation, I guess. But
Right.
yeah, I think he said he subtracted when he should have added or something like
Oh
that,
no.
or maybe vice versa. And he was doing a call for fire. So the way where so a call for fire is if you've got enemy at this point and you're over here, you're calling for that coordinate to, to fire on those guys, right?
Right.
So, so he either subtracted when he should have added or added when he should have subtracted. And so he got it wrong. And so, yeah, he got dropped from EIB. So it's easy to do even when you're used to it all the time. I mean, you just
Yeah.
got to practice it. So
I believe that.
yeah. So so what do you think is the most misunderstood thing about being a guide? Like going into it, people just like where you thought your expectations were here and didn't quite measure up.
Um, the big thing is it is not the same as going out and hunting with your buddies. Um, or even it's not the same as taking someone who's never hunted before. It's different as far as, these guys paid for this hunt and they have a certain level of expectation that you have to do your best to meet. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's a big thing that I didn't realize. Going into it, I kind of, at the guide school, they kind of warned you about it. They're like, it's not the same. You're not hunting for yourself. You're taking someone else hunting, and it's purely for them. And even with that warning, I kind of shrugged it off. I was like, nah, I'm going to be out hunting all the time. It's going to be freaking awesome.
Yeah.
But that was the biggest thing for me was I had to kind of get into a customer service almost state of mind to help these guys and do what I could to make this the most badass trip that they could have had. They're going on a freaking Alaskan moose hunt, man, and they want it to be badass. So it's all geared around trying to make it badass for them. And although I will say I had a lot of fun and it was badass for me. And I loved it the whole time, but it came from a different standpoint as I had to find the part of me that was happy for them and, pumped up for them to kill a big ass moose and that type of thing, which was a little bit weird for me to get into that state of mind. Whereas I had always been kind of, just excited for myself and hunting myself, doing my own thing. And it really threw me off doing stuff like, if the need was there, then I would carry other people's gear so that we could keep going. and try to get to that moose. Whereas, if I'm out hunting with a buddy and he asked me to carry something, I tell him to just go back to camp. And I was going to keep going. Like,
quit being a bitch.
Exactly. Like, it's you either carry your own shit or you get the hell out of my face. But in this certain area, you do that and you don't have a problem with it because they're paying to go on their dream hunt. And really, for a lot of guys, especially, I'm finding out this was the case for me, they're paying to go on their dream hunt. Well, their money is paying for you to live your dream. So you do that and you do it happily. So that was the thing that really I wasn't really expecting, and it kind of threw me off at first. But
so what was the biggest eye opener for you? Like which client, don't say any names, obviously, but which client, which experience or hunt was the biggest eye opener for you?
oh man,
Because I'm pretty sure there's one where you were just like, fuck this guy.
Yeah, we had one, and I ended up, between me and the actual guide, carried every single piece of gear that he brought out with him that day.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah. But I mean, like I said earlier, we do it because, we want to be out here guiding these hunts. But that was the biggest one. And that hunt lasted 5 or 6 days, and pretty much every day we carried damn near every piece of gear that he had.
Oh man, I hope he tipped well.
He did, and he actually ended up being a decent guy, sitting around in the tent. When it starts getting dark and we're all sitting around, you get to know people in a different light. You don't get to know their politically correct selves, or their the professional version of them. You get to know them in a different light than most people do, and it's interesting.
Oh yeah, you go out and you work somebody's ass off. I mean, they become a completely different. It's like somebody once told me, a drunk never lies or something like that.
Absolutely.
If you get out there and you get your ass kicked all day, you don't give a crap about being
No.
PC.
Right. Not a single crap about it, and it's awesome. It's awesome.
So how does that work for a guide, though? Because I've never gone on a guided hunt. I mean, are you still like PC after carrying this guy's bullshit for?
We got to feel them out. Coming from the customer service standpoint, it takes about a day usually. Sometimes you can tell within the first 10 minutes, if a guy gets off the plane, he goes, hell yeah, dude, this is going to be fucking awesome. Let's go. You have a pretty good idea of what that guy is like.
He's laid back and
right. And you can kind of be not PC around him. But some guys, it'll take a day or two. But the big thing is just kind of waiting, getting to know them a little bit and seeing, what they're like and what kind of interactions they're comfortable with. Because if it was me, I swear entirely too much. My mom's told me that plenty of times. And, I don't talk about PC things most of the time.
here.
Yeah. So if it's up to me, like, there's gonna be F-bombs thrown. We're gonna be drinking whiskey. Like, it's gonna be a good time drinking whiskey when we get back to the tent, I should say. But so the big thing is feeling them out and seeing what they want their hunt to be like, and catering to that, which was kind of a strange experience for me, especially because you're with this person for, 14 to 15 hours out of the day until you're asleep. But so having someone where you're not sure what they're okay with you saying for 2 days is a little bit weird, and it gets a little bit kind of hard
Yeah.
to communicate. But that's just it. And most people I've found when they're out hunting don't really give a shit. So that's nice.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be extremely hard for me, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought, and we had talked about this before, actually a couple times. I thought I wanted to be a guide because I was like, oh, well, I'll get to be hunting all the time, and I'll be able to spot the biggest animals. So when I go out there, I'll know where everything's at and
Right.
all that kind of stuff. And I don't think it really works that way.
Does not. Does not.
So how much time do you get for hunting? Like for yourself, how much time did you get?
Big game this year, I had 2 weeks. And the only reason I had that 2 weeks is because when I got back from Alaska, I didn't have a job. So I had free time, man. But if you get done with it and you're still working, trying to bring in some money, that goes way down. But yeah, I had 2 weeks for big game hunting. And, a week of it I spent in Ohio hunting whitetail. But yeah, 2 weeks this year. We'll see what next year brings. I'm going to put in for some tags here in Colorado with my fingers crossed that I have time for them, but we'll see.
You guys are over the counter, right, for elk?
We have over the counter, yes. We have over the counter and leftovers, but we also have draws.
Yeah, like special areas, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I still think it's nuts that right out the gate, your first gig is Brooks Range in Alaska.
Yeah, you and me both, man.
So why don't you explain how that came about? You said that the outfitting school had hooked you up, but so how did all that transpire?
So basically, the outfit Tyrrell's Trails needed another guy. They're talking about expanding and becoming a bigger outfit, taking more hunters each year. Well, they need more guides for that. So they put it out there to Swan Mountain Outfitters and a couple other places that they knew of for people who wanted to get into the industry. And they said, hey, this is what we're looking for. Send me your best guy or something like that. And then the guy who was in charge of the guide school would either come to you and say, hey, we have this, if you're interested, or he would just post it up and it'd be up for anybody in the guide school to go and get a hold of them and see what would happen from there. And so when I got a hold of them, it was actually, I was a little bit worried at first because I got a hold of him and we talked on the phone for an hour and a half, 2 hours. And he's like, awesome. I'll see you here in a couple weeks. I was like, right on, right on. Like, that was it? Okay.
Talk about some time to prepare.
Exactly. And that was my other thing was, man, I was out of shape. And now all of a sudden I'm going to hunt in Alaska. Like, oh shit. So from there, I had a week left in the course, and I think I had like 8 or 9 days after the guide school in Montana was done, but until I went to Alaska. And so then it was on. I was like, man, I got to get in the best shape I can in this 2 weeks, essentially. And so, one of the guys in my course was a retired firefighter, and he helped me out quite a bit. But one of the things he said to me was, if you really want to get in shape fast, you got to cut out beer.
Yeah.
Man, that sucks. So I ended up cutting out as much beer as I could, and started working out as best as I could, living in a tent in Montana. About all I'd had was running and body weight stuff, which I did it. I can't say it made too much of a difference in 2 weeks, but I did it. And that was the thing was, it really didn't matter what kind of shape I was in. Obviously, you have to be in good shape, but if you I want to say it's the mental strength. I don't know if that's the right term for it, but it's the mental strength. Yeah. To go up there and just bust ass and don't stop. That's the most important part about it.
Yeah, we've always, like, in a lot of my circles, we always called it testicular fortitude. That's not really the PC term now because
I like that.
All the equality thing, but
I like it though. I like it.
But yeah, man, people would be surprised what they can actually accomplish if their mind's in it.
Right.
And yeah, so I couldn't imagine. I've never hunted in Alaska. I've been really wanting to. So maybe next year I'll try and get a caribou tag or something like that, or black bear tag.
I'd definitely do it, man. Definitely do it.
I mean, I really want to, but I don't. I really want to go for moose, and I really want to go for brown bear.
Yeah.
I want to kill a brown bear with my bow, and a lot of people have told me I'm fucking nuts for that. But like, I want to so bad. I don't know what it is, but and moose to me is like payback.
Yeah.
Every year growing up, I used to get chased by moose.
Really?
Every single fucking year. There was a place.
What'd you do to these moose, man?
Dude, so I was always like an avid bow hunter. Well, not always, but probably 14, 15 years old. I was an avid bow hunter from then on out. So there was a place like not far outside of town, and before I had a license, I would ride my bike out of town, and I'd go hunting by myself with a backpack and a bow.
Really? Man, that's awesome.
Yeah, and I did that for years. I solo hunted for years. Every once in a while I'd have somebody with me, but for the most part, I did a lot of solo hunting. So nobody ever told me about moose safety. So, one time I got in between a cow and a calf. Like she was, both of them were along the Missouri, and this area was a bow only area.
Okay.
So I come out on the rocks, like right on the bank of the river, and I look to my right because I had spotted this calf like turn its head. I didn't know it was a calf. I just kind of saw something out of the corner of my eye.
Right.
And I saw this calf turn its head, and I was like, oh shit, there's a moose. And I was like, dude, that's awesome. It's a moose that close, whatever.
Right.
That was really cool. And then all of a sudden, like, I hear stomping and stuff like that on my left-hand side. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? And all of a sudden, this cow, like, comes around the corner, like, of these willows at, like, 40, 50 yards. And I'm like, shit. I dropped my bow and started hauling ass. And like I'm like weaving in and out of these willows, and she's like chasing around, like stomping and all kinds of stuff like that. And finally, I got to like this really thick patch of willows, and I like dove in the center of these like thick patch of willows, and she like went around them, like stomping, like hitting them, and all that kind of stuff. And luckily, she didn't get me.
Jesus.
And dude, it scared the shit out of me.
Bet you did a little bit more than pucker on that one, huh?
Oh yeah, a couple of drops of piss came out on that one. But she eventually left me alone, and so after that I was like, my head was on the swivel.
Oh yeah, I bet.
So then fast forward next year, I'm out there hunting or whatever, and I'm walking through this field, and I just passed this tree. It was like a small cottonwood, and all of a sudden, like I hear like some thrashing and stuff in the willows in front of me, like 50, 60 yards away.
Right.
And all of a sudden I see antlers, and this bull comes through and is like hauling ass for me. I don't know how he knew I was there. Like, I don't know if he had seen me or if the wind had hit my back, because I wasn't super conscious of wind, starting
Right.
out and everything. And like he started hauling ass for me, and I ended up going up the cottonwood tree. And dude, he stayed there until after dark. And so I had to come out after dark, knowing that this moose had just treed me. That was nuts too.
That's crazy.
I've got
man.
a couple other moose stories, but I don't think people realize how damn dangerous those fucking animals are.
Very dangerous, man. Well, I mean, they're not a laid back animal.
No.
And they're fucking huge.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's
Speaking of huge, like how big is an Alaskan moose?
well, for it to be legal for an out of state hunter, size wise, there is if it has 4 brow tines sticking out the front of one antler, that makes it legal. But size wise, it has to be 55 inches wide to even be legal for an out of state hunter to shoot.
That's nuts.
It is. Our biggest moose that we killed this year was 72 inches wide, and that was a big boy.
That is nuts.
Yeah,
that is nuts. I can lay down inside his antlers. That's my buddy Mike, the one that I'm going hunting with next week. He probably could lay down in that 55 inch that 55-inch bull. He's gonna kill me when he hears this podcast. He's like, first you talk about me fucking up EIB, and then you start making short jokes.
Man, he's gonna be pissed off.
So, how big is, like body-wise, how big is a bull that's 55 inches versus like 72 inches? I mean, 72 inches is fucking huge. Could you imagine carrying that on your head?
Yeah, they got some strong necks, man, that's for sure. Body-wise, probably all together, not not.
Anytime, anywhere.
Sorry.
You're good, man. You're good. Not field dressed or anything. They're 1,500 pounds.
God.
Yeah.
So field dress, you probably are getting what, 40% meat?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I'd say that sounds about right.
Dude, that is a lot of damn work.
It is, man, and you're not allowed to bone anything out either. So you're
Really?
carrying really, so you're carrying out whole quarters, whole ribs, all of that.
So that's one of the rules is you can't bone it?
Yep.
Holy fuck.
Yeah, man.
So how much does one of those hams weigh?
Over 100 pounds.
So
Um,
surely you have to like split it somehow.
no.
Oh damn.
It's tough, man. Yeah, I'd say really, I mean, you cut the hoof off like you would anything else, just above the grip. I don't know how to forget the technical term for that.
Yeah, or that it's I guess it's like a Achilles tendon or something, whatever.
Yeah, something like that. You cut it just above that, so you still have that grip, and then you cut it at the hip and carry it out whole like that. I think the outfitter said the heaviest one he's ever seen was like 145 pounds, but he said on average, and he grew up in Alaska and been hunting moose his whole life. He says on average they're about 120 pounds.
Man,
Yeah,
that's a heavy ass pack.
it is.
I mean, because you've got your gear and then you've got that 120-pound ham on your back, and God, that sucks.
The hardest part about it, man, is standing up.
Yeah.
Because the only way to get the pack on, man, is to lay it flat on the ground and to lay inside of it, lay on top of it, and put the pack on, and then strap up.
Yeah.
And then you have to get up from there, man. I think that's the hardest part.
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah.
You're doing some kind of like roll maneuver and looking like a damn cockroach.
Exactly. I mean, I obviously have a beard. My beard is full of dirt and whatever's laying on the ground just from trying to get up with it. But yeah, that's the hardest part for sure.
And then when you've got a client that can't carry his own shit.
Right. Right.
Yeah, we're making a second trip.
Exactly, man. Exactly. Yeah, it takes 5 or 6 trips if you're packing out a moose by yourself.
So was that a huge eye opener for you? Knowing knowing that you were having to pack everything out, you were the pack mule?
It was, and I mean, to an extent, I knew what I signed up for. But on the other hand, I was used to seeing Colorado moose, and they're not the same moose, man. They're
Well, that's why I was asking that question, because the moose that we have are huge.
Yeah.
It like, to me, that's a huge animal.
Right. Yeah, they are, man.
And then you see those moose like in the pictures and in the videos and stuff like that from Alaska, and they've got like these massive like paddles.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and you look at somebody standing next to that moose, and it's like, I'm pretty sure that's bigger than anything that I've ever seen.
Yeah, man, they're massive. The first moose I saw when I was up there was actually that 72-inch moose, and we spotted it across a valley through a
That was your
spotting
first
scope.
one?
Yup, number one,
man.
starting off big. Man, that guy had the trip of a lifetime. I'll tell you what, he he killed about everything Alaska had to offer. He started off killing that 72-inch moose,
Wow.
which was awesome to be able to, be there and be a part of harvesting such a great, massive animal.
I'm
Then,
like looking at my wall Like, imagine 72 inches of antlers. And I'm like, where the hell would I put that fucking thing?
It'd be hard to find some space out there.
My wife gets pissed off because I've got a bull that's taking up a bunch of wall space, and she's like, "Oh, I could decorate there."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Bitch, you have no idea."
Right. We had one client actually come up this year and say, I need the smallest legal moose I can.
Oh shit.
Well, then I was like, why would you come up here to try to get a small moose? That doesn't make sense. He had came the year before and killed I think he said it was a 68 or 69 inch moose. And he said his wife threatened to leave if he brought another one home.
So I don't understand. What's the significance? He just wasn't going to keep the antlers, or
no? She just didn't want any more in her house. She already vetoed antlers like that in the house whatsoever.
Well, that's what I mean. So he wasn't going to keep the antlers or something, or
oh no, he was going to keep them. He was just trying to make it a little bit easier on his wife to handle. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm over here negotiating real estate and stuff like that for a bull pedestal mount and stuff like that. I'm like, well, if we get rid of this armoire, that's a nice place for the. Hell no, you can have a trophy room or something.
That's the way to do it.
But so what else do you think that people misunderstand about being a new guide? Oh, about being a guide in general.
The other big thing for me was having to cook for someone else. Because when I had gone out, me and my buddies, or just me, it was, Mountain House.
That's what I was about to say. Mountain House bitches, come and get it.
Exactly. That was the thing that I always did, and that's kind of how I expected it to be. It's not like that, man. Someone's paying all the money to come on this hunt. They're getting fed well, and that was a big eye opener for me because I can't hardly cook worth a damn. And
gotta take some cooking classes.
Exactly, and that's one of the things that I'm still trying to learn is how to prepare a good meal out in the wilderness like that, with a small propane stovetop. And man, if you're good at that, I envy you, man. That's a skill.
I love to cook. Not to toot my own horn, but I'm a pretty damn good cook, I think. And everybody else that's eating my cooking has said it's pretty damn good. If you look at my Instagram, you'll see like all kinds of different things that I cook and stuff. But yeah, man, that would be fun, I think. But for simplicity, I don't know. I got hooked up with Next Mile Meals.
Yeah.
And I think it'd be dehydrated meals. Here, this is fresh out of the oven. Like chicken and broccoli.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, it was all cooked. We brought a Yeti cooler bag out to the field with us with, fresh vegetables and meat and all this stuff for dinner and whatnot. But
holy crap.
Yeah, but the moose hunts are a 10-day hunt, and obviously you can only take so much of the fresh stuff out with you. So towards the end, it starts getting pretty creative, the stuff that we were making. But
so what does one of those hunts cost?
The moose hunts cost about $20,000.
Oof.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
It's not exactly cheap, man.
Your ass better be fucking cooking for me.
Exactly.
Not
That
that it's
was
not worth it. I don't want to discourage anybody from going on those hunts.
right.
But
Right.
us po folk, um, damn, that's a lot of money.
Hmm.
That's definitely one of those like dream hunt, like lifetime type
It
of.
is. It is actually one of our clients that we had this year was telling me. I was talking to him, and he actually was like deathly ill a few years before he came up.
Oh
And
wow.
that was one of the things that he told his daughter while he was laid up in the hospital for months. He said, if I get better from this, I'm going to Alaska. And he did. He got better, and he saved up to where he could actually come up and get a caribou hunt and grizzly bear hunt up in Alaska. So,
Oh man,
you
good
know,
for him. That's
yeah,
fucking awesome.
that was an eye opener for me. It was like, man, I got lucky getting to come up here like this.
Yeah, well, to be part of somebody's like last wish or something like that,
Mhm.
dude, that's fucking outstanding.
Mhm.
That's that's really cool.
Yeah, it was, and I was super happy after he told me that story. He told us that story, and then we were just so much more invested, and
Oh
it
yeah.
was it was awesome to see him go home with a successful hunt under his belt.
Oh, I without a doubt. I mean,
Right, right, and from what I understand, he has his health pretty much under control now. So
that's cool.
you know,
Good
it's
for him.
great for him, man.
Yeah, it's see, and that's really cool. When you see somebody that's not taking it for granted too.
Right,
I
absolutely.
mean, we should all live that way. It's easy to get caught up in the rat race and all that kind of stuff.
It is way too easy.
But yeah, I had a guy. I was at the gym. Um, this was a couple weeks ago, and we all imagine that guy had never told you that, right?
Right, right,
And so we all like never know the influence that we have on somebody. And so I was running. I'm training for a world record. Um, so I was running with a pack, with a 70-pound pack,
okay,
and I ran 4 miles with it. And so this guy, he comes up. He's an older guy, you know, and he's taking pictures and stuff like that. And he goes, after I'm done and everything, I'm walking to the showers and everything. He stops me and goes, so what are you doing? So we just sat down and we shot the shit for a while. And I told him, I try and use the whole profile that I'm creating and everything to motivate people to do better for themselves and to really just to look at life,
right.
and he goes, well, I want to thank you. And I was like, thank me for what? I didn't, what are you thanking me for? And he goes, when I was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, I had 101 ways to kill myself. And one of my friends, one of my close friends, had turned me on to like different YouTube videos and stuff like that were people that were really motivating, like handicapped people and like all kinds of stuff. And he said, at the time, I wasn't able to walk to the end of my block. And he said, I think that with the motivational stuff that everybody was doing, it kind of helped me motivate myself. And now I run 5 miles every few days.
Holy cow.
Yeah. And I was like, man, and like that hit me like hard. I was like, I never did this with the intention of having somebody come up to me like that. It's just something that I enjoy doing.
Right.
and that was pretty cool. So we never know, what sort of effect that we have on somebody. So
Yeah,
that's
really.
an awesome thing, especially in Alaska, man. That's a dream hunt for so many people.
It really is, man. It really is.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So what else do you think? Because I wanted to base this podcast mainly around straightening out the misconceptions of becoming a guide. And, because like I said before, I think people have this thought that, I'm going to become a guide and I'm going to be able to hunt all the time. I'm going to go out and find animals for myself. I'm going to be able to make a shit ton of money. And, these guys are making a bunch of money because, they charge $3,000, $5,000, $10,000 plus for these hunts.
Right.
They've got to be making a killing. What other misconceptions do you think there are?
The big one is the money, man. You really don't make that much money. I mean, you see guys like Shockey on TV, and man, I believe he makes some money. But as most guides,
But he's probably an outfitter too, right?
probably, I would assume so. I actually don't know that much about him. I just watch his TV show sometimes. But yeah, most guides actually don't make that much money. And especially, I mean, thinking about it, the outfitter he's charging $20,000 for this moose hunt. And he has, a few of them, to say the least, a year. And what you don't think about is, the lodge maintenance and payment. He has planes that he has to maintain.
That's what I was about to say. I'm sure plane maintenance is not cheap.
Right. Which, yeah, it's not. And then you have to have the gear. You have to keep up the gear and keep it in good condition, which Alaska is not the easiest place on your gear. So
that was something I wanted to ask you too, real quick. So you said you had 2 weeks to get ready. Was any of your gear reciprocal for Alaska?
how do you mean?
So were you able to like use the same pack, use like the same camo, was any of your gear able to be transferred, or did you have to like go out and buy a shit ton of new gear?
A lot of it was transferable, which was awesome. But then at the same time, my gear that I used here in Western Colorado wasn't exactly quality gear. And, I was heading up to the freaking Brooks Range in Alaska. So I ended up going out and getting quite a bit of new gear, just so that I'd be ready for whatever happened up there. And so that was kind of tough on me.
Did your outfitter like suggest certain gear, or you just kept in contact with him and he said, hey, I would recommend this, or did you just kind of have to figure it out?
He recommended some stuff, and which helped me a lot. I ended up going with the Sitka stuff as far as camo goes. I ended up going with some Sitka, and man, their rain gear, they killed it when they made that rain gear. The stuff just works. But other than that, it was, stuff that I had never used before. Like, I wasn't used to wearing stuff like gaiters. I
love those things, man.
I came to love them pretty quick up there, man. I'll tell you what. But around here, I never did use them. And stuff, I used the Outdoor Research gaiters up there, and they killed it when they made those too. I mean, Outdoor Research makes some good gear.
Yeah, one of my buddies, we went hunting. So last year or the year before? I think it was the year before. And there's like I don't know, 12 inches of snow or whatever, and we're trudging through the snow. His feet are all getting wet and everything because it's soaking down through his socks, and I've got my gaiters on. When we first started out, he's like, "You fucking pussy." He's like, "Why are you wearing that shit? That's so gay," you know? And I'm like, hardy har, motherfucker, just wait. And by the end of it, dude, he's like, God, my fucking feet are freezing. I'm like, oh really? Mine are doing pretty good.
Yeah.
What kind of boots do you have? Are those waterproof? Oh wait, no, you didn't wear gaiters. That's what the difference was. He's like, fuck you, man. I'm gonna have to get some of those.
Yeah. Yeah, I recommend them now. I wouldn't go without them anymore. It was I was super happy that I got them before I went up there.
Yeah. So what sort of pack are you running?
A bull pack. That was the big pack that I ran, was the bull pack, and man, that thing was tougher than nails. Um, I don't think I could have broke it if I tried. But other than that, like what I used as a day pack, I just used a Cabela's Alaskan one as a day pack, and I mean that was the one I carried my gear in, and I did pack out trip number 1 with my Cabela's Alaskan pack. And
Was it Alaska tough?
it did it. It did the job. I also wouldn't have tried carrying out a moose hind quarter on it. Um, but it did do the trick for, pack out trip number 1. And then that was the trip I would take out the first load. And then when I dropped it off at camp, I would pick up that bull pack and I'd head back up with that. And that thing would take just about anything you put on it, man.
Heck yeah. And so anyway, back to the misconceptions, not to get off on a rabbit hole here. But, so what you said the money. I mean, what are we talking here? Like 10,000 a month?
For me, as a guide's apprentice, first year, man, I walked out of Alaska with about $3,000. And that was for 6 weeks worth of work. So really, money is not, you're not going to get rich doing this. You've got to want to do it. You can't be wanting to do it to get rich. But, the pay increases, obviously, with the more experience you have. And then, when you become a guide and a master guide, your pay goes up as well as your tips. The tips were the big thing. Most of that money that I walked out of Alaska with came from tips, and man, I'm sure glad I had them too.
So you split tips like in a restaurant, or they just come up and say, "Hey, here you go."
They just come up and give you your tip individually, and that's about how it goes. There was no tip splitting really, especially, I mean, because as a guide's apprentice, I'm out there with a certified guide all the time. And the certified guide tip is a decent amount higher than a guide's apprentice tip. So yeah, it's individual tips, and it's nice to have them, but I can't wait to get to be a certified guide.
Yeah. So let's touch on that a little bit. So I think you had mentioned before, to be a certified guide in Alaska, you have to go on a certain number of trips.
Right.
Successful trips, right?
Right.
In each category? Was that
Yeah, so it's like 3 hunts, 3 successful hunts for each species. And then your outfitter has to sign off on it that you're ready, to be out there with another human being and, come back alive, essentially.
Well, I mean, surely they don't want you back dead.
Right. Yeah, that'd be a big bummer for the outfitter. But yeah, so you have to go through those steps, and then your outfitter needs to be comfortable enough to sign off on you going out and doing this.
So which animals do you have to get checked off, basically?
Moose, grizzly bear, and caribou. And I'm not sure if doll sheep are on there or not. I'm still talking to my boss about it right now, but so those are the big ones. And I had a pretty good year. I'm getting close to it, but still got a lot of work to do.
So have you done bear yet?
Yep.
Oh, you have?
Yep. We did, I guess, 4 successful grizzly bear hunts when I was up there.
Nice. What were you surprised at all at the size of those things?
Yeah, I was. What I didn't realize going into it was there's a difference between interior grizzly bear and coastal grizzly bear,
Oh yeah.
which on the coast I guess they call them brown bear, but coastal grizzly bears, big one will be, a 10-footer. Interior, a big one is, like an 8-footer. But man, still a huge animal. When you get to thinking about it, it's 8 foot from paw to paw, and it weighs, 600 pounds. That's scary to think about.
That is nuts, man.
Yeah.
So what was it? So what is the requirement for you packing that out? Is it the same thing? You can't leave bone and all that kind of stuff, or?
The only thing that you're required to take from a grizzly bear is the hide and the skull. You're not even required to take meat from it.
Wow.
Yep.
Is that does that make it an easier pack?
It does. Yeah, so really, I mean, you can take the ivory if you want, which the ivory on a grizzly bear is the bear's dick.
Really?
Which I
didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't
I'm sitting
either,
here
man.
thinking the canines, I'm like, I had no idea. I've shot a black bear before, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't believe that it's actually ivory. I think that's just what they call it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, and I've actually been trying to figure it out, and it's kind of split. I'll read an article saying it is ivory, and then I'll read an article saying that, it's a myth that a grizzly bear's penis is ivory. But nonetheless, when I was told we're cutting the bear's dick off, I thought they were playing a joke on the new guy. I was like, no way, man.
Oh, nice. So did you have to carry it?
Yeah.
This thing's leaking all over me.
Yeah, man. And funny enough, people will actually keep the ivory in their office, and they'll use it as a drink stirrer after it's all bleached and stuff.
I don't think I would do that.
Yeah,
Each
man.
their own. I mean, it's only slightly gay.
Slightly gay with a pinch of something else in there, man.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, that one's that's different.
Yeah, it is.
Although
it is.
my grandpa, he's got the an elephant dick. He was an outfitter in Montana, and he had the opportunity to go to Africa for a safari. He killed,
Okay.
at the time, I think it was like the 8th largest lion in the world. And
Damn.
he's killed an elephant, zebras, all kinds of shit.
Good
And
experience.
oh yeah. There's a long story about that. I'm going to do a podcast with him and let him talk about all that. But
Right on.
anyway,
I look forward to hearing it.
yeah, man. And so he has the elephant's dick, and he had it all tanned out and everything, like the inside of it all tanned out. So like he'll flop this thing out every now and then for like new people that come to his trophy room, and it's like the size of my leg, and it's like, and you're like, what's that? Is that the trunk? No, that's his dick.
That's awesome, man.
The trunk is actually up there on the wall.
That is so funny.
My brother one day, he brings this girl over to my grandpa's house. He's like, here, check this out. And he's got this girl in there with him, and he like pulls this elephant dick out, and he's like, playing with her, like smacking her in the face with it. She doesn't know what it is. He's like, he just got cack smacked by an elephant. And she's like, oh, what the hell? I thought that was the trunk.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. But so so what else you want to set the record straight about?
There is one thing I've been thinking about. The outfitter's girlfriend, I met her, and she is also a guide, and I was talking to her about it.
Don't fuck the outfitter's girlfriend. It won't go well for you. Alaska's a big territory, and
that's true.
Easily be lost.
That's true. That and the sexism. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to go on some big feminist rant, but the sexism in the hunting industry.
Yeah, I've thought about that lately too.
It's wild. And I was talking to her about it, and she's like, yeah, these guys get here, and they're expecting some, big old mountain man to take them out, and it's me. And they don't listen to her, essentially. And basically what she said was, when I don't get that respect, they don't give me the respect they give other people, man, I just walk them till their feet bleed.
Yeah.
And after that, they show some respect. So basically, if you go to Alaska and end up with a woman as your guide, you better show her some respect, man, or it'll be miserable.
It's tough as hell.
That's right. That's right.
I've thought about that too, like quite a bit. I got 2 daughters, and so both of them really want to shoot the bow and stuff like that. One of them I've got shooting the bow, and I'm not going to mention any names, but I've got like a couple people. I don't think they're really, I'm sure there's people that are running it, but I think it's more like a little club, maybe. I don't know exactly how to explain it, but it seems like a conglomerate of a bunch of like really good looking female outdoors women that I've never seen any women dressed like this going out into the outdoors. But you got posts like that, and I can't help but think that really sets back the hunting industry in a lot of ways, because I know a lot of females growing up in Montana that hunt and are badass hunters, and granted, some of them are pretty good looking, but for the most part, I mean, they're all tough. And when you got some like blonde bombshell out there with big old fake cannons, like holding up a striper, and like this like string bikini, like doing a pose and shit like that. I'm like, yeah, I've never fished in just my shorts.
Right.
I,
Right.
I've never seen a female like just like that, not a hair out of place and stuff like that. I'm with you. I think a lot of that. I think a lot of that kind of sets back the hunting industry in a lot of ways.
Oh yeah. Not only that, but man, does it give hunters a bad name as far as to the outside people looking in, man.
Well, imagine, I mean that guide that you're talking about, the outfitter's girlfriend, they've got, they look at these different social media sites and stuff like that, and they see these like bombshell, hot ass hunting chicks, and they're like, they have the same thought. I think, no, that's just some model. She doesn't know her ass from a hole in the ground.
Right.
That kind of thing, and it takes away the credibility.
Right. Absolutely does.
But yeah, I'm with you there, man. I'm definitely with you there. So, anything else? Any last minute things that you just want to put out there?
Really, I mean, if you're trying to become a guide, just do it. Just take whatever position you can get. It's the best way to get into it and the best way to move up, man. You're not going to go out with zero experience. 9 times out of 10, you'll get laughed at if you go out with zero experience and say, hey, I want to guide for you. You got to have experience just like everything else.
Oh, that was something that, man, I just realized we never even talked about it. But guiding in the lower 48. So what is the difference between being a guide in Alaska, other than, being a pain in the ass? But what is the difference between being a guide in the lower 40 or the lower 48 versus Alaska, like as far as rules and regulations and how to become a guide?
So in Alaska, you have these regulations that you have to hit, and you have to be approved to become a guide. After hitting those and after your outfitter is signed off on you, you still have to be approved by a board to get your Alaska guide's license. In the lower 48, for the most part, I'm not sure about all the states, but for the most part, it's an application process. You put in an application, and you either get approved or you get denied. And then if you get approved, you're a licensed guide. That's all it takes in a lot of places in the lower 48. Whereas in Alaska, you have all these stipulations that you have to go through to become certified to get that guide's license.
Okay. So if you become a guide, like say Montana, Wyoming, Colorado, whatever, are there any benefits to being a guide? Like, also, do you have to work under an outfitter? How does that work?
Yeah, you have to have that outfitter's license in order to legally be able to sell hunts. So you need that outfitter in there to be able to sell hunts.
Okay. So could you use that? And I'm just thinking outside the box here. So certain places you have to have a guide. Could you be a licensed guide somewhere and go out and avoid that restriction? Like say I wanted to hunt in Alaska, I become a guide. Well, obviously I couldn't be a guide in Alaska, but let's say, I don't know, somewhere where there's a requirement for a guided hunt, right? If I'm a guide, could I go to those places and under my guide certification say, hey, I don't need a guide because I am a guide?
I would assume. Now, I'm not sure about this. I would assume you could, because all they're looking for is that you have someone with that certification. Pretty much, that certification is basically telling them that, I'm going to be okay. I'm not going to get critically injured or injured at all or killed while I'm out here. So I would assume in a place like this, if you had your own guide's license, you would be able to go out for yourself.
Like say Canada or something like that. Is it reciprocal? Like, or do you have like some other credentials that you have to meet?
For Canada,
Yeah.
I believe it's completely separate.
What sort of thing? Is there like a yearly maintenance thing that you have to do, or like yearly certifications that you have to do, or?
So for your guide's license, you need your wilderness first aid certificate, and you also need to be CPR certified. Those are the two that need to be maintained for you to keep your guide's license. And
I'm
both
guessing
of
you have to
them are,
send that in.
yeah, both of those are every 2 years.
Okay. Cool, man.
Oh yeah.
Well,
Oh yeah.
any signing off moments?
Check out Tyrrell's trails if you're thinking about going to Alaska, man. We'll try our best to put you on a big old moose.
Oh, for sure. You guys only do Brooks Range, you said, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Travis is going to promise you a 72-inch moose. No, that's completely a joke. He's not going to promise you a 72, but he will promise you over a 55-inch moose.
That's right.
If you see one.
Yep. It is still hunting.
That's why it's hunting, not killing.
Mm-hmm.
But
that's exactly right.
All right, man. Travis, I really appreciate it. Check out Tyrrell's Trails and ask for Travis and get out there and enjoy Alaska at the Brooks Range.
That's right, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man. Thanks for being on. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.